Welcome to News Nexus. Today we take a calm, clear look at a quiet emergency reshaping American life, the disappearing middle class. No shouting, no spin. Just a straight story about why so many families feel like they're running in place, how we got here, and what it would take to rebuild broad, reliable stability. Settle in. By the end, you'll have a framework that makes sense of the headlines, the bills on your kitchen table, and the choices your city and state face next. You work hard. Maybe more than one job. You do the right things. Yet the basics feel heavier every year. Rent, groceries, childcare, a car repair you didn't plan for. The paycheck arrives and somehow it doesn't stretch as far as it used to. You are not imagining it. Something real has shifted under everyday life. It didn't happen in a single moment. It crept up year after year, rule by rule, cost by cost, until one day millions of people looked up and asked, why is it this hard to feel secure? For decades, America told a simple story. Study, work, play by the rules. You could afford a home, put away a little for retirement, take a week off in the summer, and help your kids climb further. That story worked for millions of families in the post-war years. Wages rose with productivity. One income often covered a mortgage. Health insurance and pensions were predictable. College was within reach. That was the middle class. Today, the story still works for some, but it works for fewer, and it takes more luck and more hustle to reach the same result. Why did the middle thin out? Think in 3 layers. First, the price of essentials rose faster than typical pay. Second, bargaining power shifted away from workers toward highly concentrated companies and complex markets. Third, risk moved off big institutions and onto individual families. Costs, power, risk. Those 3 words explain much of what people feel. Start with costs. In many places, the price of housing rose faster than income for years. We underbuilt in the neighborhoods where jobs and schools are strongest. Zoning and slow approvals limited supply while demand kept growing. The result is a bidding war for proximity. If you win, you pay a premium. If you lose, you add a long commute and lose time with your family. Healthcare takes a growing bite too. Even with insurance, families face high deductibles and complicated bills. Coverage that once felt like a shield now feels like a maze. Childcare, for many parents, looks like a second mortgage. As the population ages, elder care pulls time and money in the opposite direction. Groceries and transportation add daily friction. None of these items are luxuries. They are the bones of life. When they rise faster than wages, the math stops working. Now power. Over several decades, work was rewired. Technology and global competition changed how companies operate. Some jobs were automated, some moved overseas. New roles appeared, but the gains clustered in certain cities and industries. At the same time, union membership fell and labor rules didn't keep up with new work models. In many markets, a handful of companies grew big enough to set terms for suppliers and consumers. When a few players control the platform, they capture more of the value. When workers negotiate alone, they capture less. That isn't a moral judgment. It's how bargaining works, and risk. 40 years ago, more risk lived with institutions. Employers offered pensions. Health plans were simpler. Unemployment insurance and retraining were easier to access. Over time, we moved to do-it-yourself retirement accounts, high-deductible health plans, and a gig economy where benefits are portable only if you can afford to build them yourself. The unexpected now falls on families with fewer cushions and fewer hours to manage it. Bring this down to earth with 3 snapshots. Aaron and Mia are public school teachers in a mid-sized city. 2 steady incomes, 2 kids, 1 small mortgage. They're careful. They cook at home. They drive older cars. Yet each year, insurance premiums tick up, the childcare bill rivals the mortgage, and the emergency fund struggles to grow. They aren't failing. They're balancing a budget where the heavy items always get heavier. Jasmine is 29 with a degree and a steady job. She carries student loans and shares an apartment to manage rent. She wants simple things, a place of her own, a buffer in the bank, a path to a down payment. Her pay rises a little each year, but not as fast as rent. She picks up weekend freelance work, not because she loves it, but because it helps her sleep at night. Tony is 52. He built a career in mid-level manufacturing. After a restructuring, his plant closed. He found warehouse work and started driving on the side. The benefits are thin. His retirement savings went on pause, restarted, then paused again. He isn't stuck in the past. He simply didn't get a clear path back to his old level of stability in the new economy. Now add a shock, a layoff, a medical bill, a rent hike at lease renewal, a transmission failure on the only car. For families already stretched, one unexpected event can trigger a cascade. Credit cards, late fees, a hit to the credit score, and years of repair. This is why the middle feels smaller. It isn't only about money, it's also about fragility. There's a time story as well. The middle class didn't only lose dollars, it lost hours. Longer commutes as families move farther out to find something they can afford. Side gigs filling evenings and weekends. The paperwork of modern life, insurance, schools, benefits, shifted from institutions to individuals. Those hours came from somewhere. For many families, they came from rest and relationships. So what changed under the hood of the economy? Picture 8 engines. First, the hourglass job market. Growth piled up in high-skill roles at the top and in low-wage service jobs at the bottom, while the middle thinned. Factories run with fewer people. Offices automate routine tasks. The result is a set of jobs that either pay too little to live on or require credentials that many can't afford. Second, the decline of worker voice. When people bargain alone, they accept the schedule and pay they are offered. When they bargain together, through unions, works councils, or sector agreements, they have leverage. Over time, that leverage faded for many workers. Third, consolidation. In industry after industry, a few companies control the rails, distribution, data, platforms. That power shows up in prices, fees, and the share of profits that go to owners instead of workers. Fourth, housing bottlenecks. We restricted the supply of homes in the places with the most opportunity. When that happens, the ladder of mobility pulls up. Home ownership, the classic path to middle-class wealth, slides out of reach for first-time buyers. Fifth, education as a toll road. College still opens doors, but the on-ramp is expensive and debt-heavy. And for those who don't pursue a degree, we failed to build a strong alternative. Apprenticeships, certificates with real hiring value, and employer partnerships that lead to middle-wage jobs. Sixth, the care economy crunch. Parents face high childcare costs. Adult children face elder care decisions. The hidden tax falls on time, opportunity, and lifetime earnings, especially for women. Seventh, the healthcare maze. Premiums and deductibles rise. Bills arrive with codes most of us don't understand. Employers shift more costs to workers. Health insecurity becomes financial insecurity. Eighth, the risk shift. Retirement, health, job loss, and retraining used to be shared risks. Today, families carry more of that load themselves. That's the diagnosis. Now, solutions that are practical and proven. There is no single fix, but there is a workable blueprint. Think in 5 arenas: work, essentials, skills, fair markets, and security. Make work pay. Raise wage floors in a predictable way so businesses can plan. Update overtime rules so salaried workers are paid for the extra hours they actually work. Encourage worker voice. Traditional unions where they fit, new forms of representation where they don't. So schedules and pay become a conversation instead of a notice. Expand earned income credits that top up low and middle wages and reward work. Cut the cost of essentials. Start with housing. Allow more homes near transit and jobs. Permit duplexes and small apartments in single-family zones. Speed up approvals. When supply meets demand, rents cool. In healthcare, attack prices and complexity. Make billing transparent. Negotiate drug costs aggressively. Invest in primary care so people stay healthy and avoid expensive emergencies. In childcare, use public dollars to stabilize supply and cap costs as a share of income. Childcare isn't a luxury. It's economic infrastructure that lets parents work and businesses hire. Build skills ladders that actually lead somewhere. Every community college should be a launchpad tied to local employers. Offer fast, stackable credentials that translate into higher wages quickly. Take apprenticeships mainstream beyond the trades into tech, healthcare, and advanced manufacturing. Tie public training dollars to job placements and wage gains, not just course completions. Keep markets open and fair. Enforce antitrust laws so dominant firms cannot box out new competitors or set junk fees that drain households. Protect small businesses in their contracts with big suppliers and platforms. When markets are competitive, prices fall and workers capture more of the value they help create. Restore security across the life cycle. Make retirement savings automatic with employer matches by default. Create portable benefits for gig and contract workers so people can move between jobs without losing basic protections. Modernize unemployment insurance and retraining so a layoff becomes a bridge rather than a cliff. Risk will always exist. The question is how much lands on families already stretched thin. That's policy. What about your personal playbook while the big gears turn? Treat your skills like an investment portfolio. If you're in marketing, learn analytics and automation. If you're in operations, learn dashboards and data visualization. If you're a coder, learn product thinking and customer research. The best insurance against a changing job market is being able to solve adjacent problems and speak the language of the team next to you. Build an emergency fund on autopilot. Set a small, regular transfer into a separate account the day you get paid. Automation beats intention. Even a modest buffer turns a bad week into a manageable month. Value time as much as money. A slightly cheaper home with a long commute can cost you hundreds of hours a year. That time has value. Consider total cost of life, not just total cost of housing. Use every benefit you have. Many people leave money on the table. Employer matches, HSA contributions, tuition reimbursement, training stipends, tax credits. Read the documents. Ask simple questions. Free money is still money. Network before you need it. Reach out to colleagues, classmates, and acquaintances once a week. Share something useful. Congratulate someone on a win. Your next opportunity often arrives through a weak tie that trusts your work. If you run a small business, protect your margins with the same intensity you protect your brand. Price for sustainability. Re-quote suppliers annually. Track customer acquisition cost and lifetime value. Watch debt terms closely. Access to credit is power. Bad terms are a trap. Let's add 2 examples that show how change looks when communities act. In one metro area that legalized small apartments near transit and reduced approval delays, rents cooled relative to the national trend and more teachers, nurses, and tradespeople could live closer to work. The policy wasn't flashy. It was a decision to say yes to more homes. When supply catches up, the pressure eases. In another region, hospitals and clinics partnered with community colleges to train medical assistants and technologists. Students earned paid apprenticeships, industry-recognized credentials, and a clear path to salaries that support a family. Employers stabilized staffing. Graduates gained careers, not just jobs. That's a win-win that builds the middle. What about technology? Won't new tools take more jobs? It depends on the rules we write and the value we share. Technology can automate tasks, but it can also create new roles and raise productivity. The key is making sure workers capture a fair slice of the value those tools unlock. That brings us back to bargaining power, fair markets, and skills. The future isn't predetermined. It's negotiated. There's one last element we rarely discuss: the psychological tax of uncertainty. When families cannot plan a vacation, when they aren't sure about childcare next year, when they tell their kids they might need to move again, stress becomes a constant companion. That stress shows up in schools, workplaces, and our politics. Stability is not boring. Stability is the platform that lets people dream, take risks, start companies, switch careers, and volunteer on Saturday mornings. A healthy middle class is that platform. So how do you know if your city or state is moving in the right direction? Use a simple scorecard. Are typical wages rising faster than the local cost of living? Are we permitting enough homes near jobs and transit? Are childcare seats available and affordable? Do people have credible alternatives to a 4-year degree that lead to good wages? Are markets open enough that new businesses can compete? Are benefits portable so changing jobs doesn't mean losing basic protections? Can most households handle a modest surprise expense without borrowing? If the answers lean yes, the middle class thickens. If they lean no, the middle keeps disappearing. Rebuilding a broad middle will take stamina. It asks policymakers to choose practical solutions over performative ones. It asks employers to treat people as assets, not costs. It asks neighborhoods to say yes to the homes that teachers, nurses, and service workers need. It asks all of us to show dignity to every kind of work. The payoff is enormous. A country where budgets breathe again, where time feels less scarce, and where hope is not a luxury item. A word to anyone who feels behind. You are not lazy. You are not failing. You are navigating an economy that put more weight on your shoulders and then blamed you for bending. Protect your household with the playbook we covered. Skills, savings, time, and benefits. Then add your voice to local choices that lower the cost of essentials, raise the wage floor, open markets, and share risk. That is how individuals survive and how a middle class revives. If this deep dive brought clarity, share it with a friend who needs the bigger picture. Tell us in the comments which pressure hits your home hardest. Housing, healthcare, childcare, debt, wages, or time, and what has helped you cope. Your story might be the lifeline someone else needs tonight. This is News Nexus. Thank you for spending this time with me. If you value calm, clear analysis that connects the dots behind the headlines, subscribe and tap the bell so you don't miss the next episode. Take care of yourself, take care of your people, and I'll see you in the next one.